All right. So, doing a little interview
Yeah,
for my graphic design project, and
graphic design. It's my favorite
yes.
topic.
And who am I here with today?
Well, my name is Paul Kelly. I am an English teacher here at Bishop Fenwick High School.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So just to start off, so in your English classes, like, what topics do you go over, and like what grades do you teach?
Well, I teach primarily 11th graders now and some 12th graders too. So that's my focus. And then focus on English Lit. Um, It's a good question what to focus on. It seems
Yeah.
obvious, but it's kind of not really. And what
Yeah.
I've come down to are essentially three things:
Okay.
reading, writing, and Socratic discussions. Those three things I think are the core of the class. And I feel like if we're doing work related to those three things, then we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Can you go a little bit more in detail on like the Socratic discussions?
Yeah, that's a distinctive part of the class. But I think especially in Well, a lot of teachers today, I think rightfully, are questioning the way students spend their time studying or spend their time being tested.
Mm-hmm.
And, generally, computers are sort of taking over with AI and software and apps of all kinds for education. And I think those, frankly, shortcut the learning experience for students. They turn them into a game. It's kind of the gamification of learning.
Yeah.
And it really makes students better at the thing they're doing, which is using apps and using computers.
Mm-hmm.
But you remember that was not on my list of the three things that we should be studying
Yeah. No.
or
No, it was
learning,
not.
at all. So whatever tool you use, it tends to strongly color or take over the work that you're doing with the tool. And I don't want the strong influence or overtaking of learning to read and write by software, because you can't learn to read and write by
So
doing
how
that.
does like the Socratic discussion bring that back?
Exactly. So the Socratic discussion brings that back because it draws on um, sort of core understanding of what you do when you read and you write. And there's
Hmm.
no apps to sort of mask or mirror or filter your understanding of the books and your ability to talk about them, question them with other students. So it's just raw. You just have to talk. There's no googling. There's no looking for the right answer. You have to work it out together, which is what we're learning to do in the humanities broadly here at Bishop Fenwick. By humanities, I mean religion class, history class, foreign languages, and English. So if I complain about software as the negative, the positive alternative, Socratic discussions.
So would you say like your Socratic discussions and like just like the removal of like a lot of technology, is that like a good reason why someone should take your class?
Yeah, it really is. If you have the sneaking suspicion that even though you like it, you like using the laptop and you like using the phone
Hmm.
as everyone does, but you have this question in the back of your mind, like, but am I actually learning anything?
Hmm.
Because I'm not really reading anymore. I'm just getting summaries or reading short little clips. Do I even really know how to read? Or I'm not really writing anymore because I'm just pulling clips from here. I'm kind of getting AI to lay out the paper for me or whatever, which is which is short circuiting your whole ability to learn how to write. If you have that sneaking suspicion, then yes, you should take my class, because we don't do any of that really.
The sneaking suspicion that you're like not learning correctly.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if students have that, Anderson. You would know better than me, but
Oh
I
no,
think
I
they
think I
should.
think we're not learning correctly,
Yeah.
and that brings me to my next question. Do you think more teachers should like do their class the way you do, like removing technology, well, like not completely removing it, but removing to the point to where students have to engage more?
Yeah, yeah, I think so entirely. I think I'm thinking about next semester even just going to a cloister model, like going further down the path. So you might know this from history that there have been catastrophes in Western civilization in the past, and during the after the fall of the Roman Empire, there's a period called the Dark Ages,
Mm,
in which there's a lot of disorder and a lot of loss of learning
yeah.
because institutions and structures of learning were kind of destroyed. what saved Western, one of the things that saved Western learning during that time was monasteries. There were these special places where people didn't do anything but read and write, basically. And I think we need to cloister ourselves from the barbarians that are invading, the vulgar horde that is invading our academic institutions. And that vulgar horde is social media, the internet, AI broadly. All that stuff is a replacement for actual learning, because you can't concentrate, you can't focus, you can't spend time, reading or studying, and you won't if you have reels to flip through, and you only have so much time in your life. So students should be reading every night for their English class for 45 minutes, an hour. They don't. And instead, what are they doing? They're doing all these other techniques. So yeah, I think teachers should. We should be way more serious about it than we are. We're just glib about it. We're just ho-hum. And it's suicide. It's actual
So like
suicide.
what subjects, or especially like English, do you think that is like really taken over by like AI and like technology?
I get emails every day in my inbox from educational resources, supposedly, all talking about how to how to integrate AI into your classroom, how to help your students be on the cutting edge of AI because they're going to need to for future jobs, blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Look, students' brains, we know, do not. I mean, they're forming into their early 20s. So really, you're in this time period of great plasticity, a time of great ability to learn from now until, let's say, 25. That time frame, it's like golden. We need to protect that with everything we can, and you should be developing, building your brain by testing it, by working it, by adding new exercises of various kinds in all the disciplines to your daily experience. Offloading that to software, to devices, I mean, it's a disaster. It is a disaster. It actually is. And in educational institution administrators, other teachers are just like, maybe we'll just put the phones aside for a few minutes during class, or maybe during the class, and then let's let kids jump back on them all the time. It's not a cloister at all. I think our whole school ought to really be treated that way, like this is a tech-free zone,
Mm-hmm.
because it's that time of life which you can learn the most, and we should be driving you to learn the most. And you know, you can play on your phone or whatever, but that's what it's for. That's what it's for. It's for play
All
at
right.
best.
So I think we've kind of gone off on like AI tangent. I kind of just want to bring it back more to like your class. And one
Hmm.
question I feel like a lot of students are going to be asking is why they should take your class as opposed to CCP Comp. So
Oh
what are your
my
thoughts on that?
goodness. Ooh, I could talk for another 30 minutes on that. CCC comp, CCP
CCP.
comp, right?
CCP.
Yeah, another disaster. Like, that's a college credit class,
Mm-hmm.
and that comp class you should take in college. We're a college prep high school. We build over 4 years our English classes for students. We have a rhetorical plan from 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, culminates in the 12th grade year. So if you've worked with us 9th, 10th, 11th grade, and then you get to 12th grade and you don't have that final year, that capstone year on your reading, on your ability to discuss around the table, and your ability to write essays, and then we just offload that to some kind of really low level comp class, then I understand the money part. But again, back on the academic focus part, it doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't make any sense at all. So you should take my class, because we're going to actually read challenging text, good stuff, Shakespeare. We're going to read 2 Shakespeare plays this year, work through every single page of them. And then students are going to talk through those confusing, difficult, but also interesting plays around the table, and write essays. Right. So that's why you should do it. If you want to be a better reader, you want to be a better writer, if you want to be better at learning. And everyone does. Might not want to learn calculus or Shakespeare, but everyone wants to be better at learning. And you get that as a student, at a school who pushes you to it by not offloading their responsibility to local community colleges. Or, I mean, that class, Anderson, do you know you could sign up for that for CCP comp class when you were 12?
I didn't know that. I didn't know
When
that.
you were 12. So just think about that. There's a college class made for 18, 19-year-olds who are not living at home anymore in college. Also could be taken by a 12-year-old.
It must not be that good of a class then.
I didn't say it. You said it, but it's obvious, isn't it? And it's absurd. It's actually absurd. You're not the same person at 12 as you are at 15, as you are at 18. Life
I
circumstances.
mean, you can't
all
take
that.
your English class when you're a 12-year-old, but you can take that class as a 12-year-old.
Thank you. That's a very good way of putting it. No 12-year-old is going to make it through British Lit here because it's made for seniors who have done the work of the 9th grade, the 10th grade, the 11th grade. And yeah, no 12-year-old is going to make it through that. So yeah, I think it's a bad idea.
All right.
CCP.
So, as a teacher,
Yeah.
what sets you apart from other, just maybe not necessarily just English teachers, but other teachers? Like, what makes your teaching style, I guess, attractive to a student?
Yeah, if it's attractive, and it's not to everyone, you have to admit. I'd like to say it is, but yeah, if it's attractive, I think it's because it's focused on learning and on forcing you to interact in organic, natural ways, not ways that are framed up by teachery tactics.
I know exactly what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? I don't really like that kind of stuff.
I find that a lot of like religion classes kind of like force you into stuff.
Okay.
It's not like organic.
Yeah. You feel like they're like academic games or something
Mm-hmm.
that are more self-referential.
I mean, they even call them like activities.
Exactly.
So,
I don't do activities. I don't like activities. I don't do activities. And the key to that is, I think, is avoiding education departments where you're taught to play games with students. What you do instead is, what really helped form me in this, Anderson, was teaching, being a tutor for homeschool kids. So my early years of teaching, I tutored on the side for extra money, and I got passed down through in families, down through series of kids, families who had like 3 or 4 brothers or whatever, and working one-on-one with students, I've taken through history, through composition, through literature. Like, you can't play games with, games are for like a big, massive class or something. You feel impersonally, disconnected.
I kind of feel belittled when we start playing games.
You do?
Like when the teacher starts treating, like I'm a high school senior.
Yeah.
And there's some teachers that have very elementary tactics to like either reeling their students in or getting them to try to learn.
Yeah. There's so many things wrong with it. It's difficult. It's you can't say all the things. I mean, I'll just say 2. One is it's belittling, to students like yourself. Like you said, I think being challenged around a discussion table to hold a sustained discussion for 10 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever, with your peers, there's nothing belittling about that.
Nope.
Second of all, you get good at what you do. You get good at what you do. If you play multiple choicey things, fill in the blanky things, or little, flip card, I don't even know what they play. I know they're out there. That's what you'll get good at, and it's misdirection. There's this great line in Augustine's book, De Magistra, that always stuck with me. And this is the definition of, in one single metaphor, it's all of teaching. Augustine says, the teacher points to the star, the student looks at the finger. So anything, games are the finger.
Yeah.
The teacher we think we're pointing at the star, pointing at the light, the learning. But whatever you point with, that's what students tend to look at. Because they're students, they don't get it, the difference between. And as a teacher, you're always fighting to get the finger out of the way and the light on stage. So you need the least complex, the least distanced techniques from the actual thing you're trying to teach in order to help the students get there. So if they need to learn rhetoric, have them do rhetoric. That's the most unobtrusive way.
So basically, what you're saying is the reason why students should like your classes because you teach. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because I do it the right way. Yeah, I guess that's what I
Okay,
was going to say.
okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
Humbly speaking.
All right. So, how how can a student take the teaching that you're doing and get the most out of it? What do they have to do on their end?
Yeah, they have to do a lot. They have to do a lot. It's hard work. That's part of the theme is that there's nothing that can filter the work of learning in any
Mm-hmm.
true discipline. Nothing can do it for you. Um, there's no real tools of learning, not really. At basis, if you're learning math, you're just gonna have to do a whole bunch of math problems. You're going to have to work them out over and over and over and see various permutations of them. If you're going to learn to read, you've got to read with other readers, and that's the Socratic connection to reading is reading goes on forever. Not just that you do it your entire life, but the meaning of the phrase "I know how to read" is bottomless. Everyone thinks you probably think you know how to read, and you do at some level, but if God blesses you with the opportunity to go to a really good college, you're going to read with other kids who you're going to look at. You're not going to say it out loud because it's embarrassing, but you're going to say, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how to read. I thought I did." Hopefully, you'll be sideswiped, struck with that, because then it opens up, the door. So you got to work. You got to work. So my class to get the most out of it is you got to write. You got to write. You got to read. I take infinite resubmissions of papers because students who will revisit their paper, work and rework, I'll give them increasingly better grades for doing it because that's how you become a better writer. So
So just
work. You want
trying,
more? Work more.
just trying to learn is basically what your grades are about.
I try. That is my objective. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get them to try to learn. If they're trying to learn, you won't fault them for it. Is pretty much what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
If they're working, reading, rereading, annotating, reannotating, writing, rewriting, upping their game in Socratic discussions, um, they're going to learn a lot more and learn a lot more about learning.
Okay. Well, so just to wrap this up, is there anything else you would like to tell the people?
Yeah, Anderson, I think you need to read a lot more in my class.
I need to read a lot
I
more.
just like to take this opportunity to say, yeah, I think you just need to read a lot more closely. Today we're going to have an Othello reading quiz on Act Two, and I just sense that you're not ready for it.
I think I'm pretty prepared. I do. I read.
Okay, I haven't graded your paper yet for Sir Gawain, but what do you think that's going to do
Like, due to what?
to your grade?
Oh, I think it's going to increase it by a lot. I wrote a good paper, Mr.
Did
Kelly.
you really?
I wrote a really good paper.
All right,
I
I'm
was sitting
excited
there.
now.
I was sitting there. I was like, whew,
This is killer.
yes. I was using some good rhetoric in there. I'm telling you.
Man, that's a great feeling.
It is.
All right, well, now I'm excited. I want to go grade that paper. Anderson, it's good to talk with you.
All
Let's
right.
do this more often.
I think it was a good discussion.
I hope so. All
Very
right.
informative. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.